Welcome back to Editors Roundtable. Well, the other focal point is the tractor sales, and that's been doing very, very well. A few years ago, we were doing around 500,000 odd. Now we're on the verge of doing close to around 1 million units odd. The question is, will this speeding tractor come to a halt, or will there be a brake that's put in place? Two factors playing out here. One is fear of El Nino, and the second factor is in a post-election year, we normally see some bit of pressure. Let's focus on the first factor then. El Nino remembers when the waters in the Pacific, they cross the 24.5 degrees odd. That's what affects the southwest monsoon and in turn hits the rainfall here in the subcontinent. Now, India in the last 22 years, we have never seen 5 straight good monsoons. We have had 4 straight good monsoons. So let's see whether or not we can break the jinx. The hope is maybe, in fact, we break that jinx. But the odds are stacked against us, particularly in an El Nino year, because some statistics suggest that the chance of getting excess rainfall is almost zilch. Below monsoon, there's a high likelihood, and there's also a high likelihood of a drought. Clearly, that could impact tractor sales. So that's point number one. The second factor is, in a post-election year, we have seen that it dips a little bit. And remember, in a run-up to election, you have loan waivers that's hoped for. You have agri-loans dispersals that pick up. And also a lot of these bridges, and other construction sites, they do see a completion. And 35% of their transportation, well, it finds application via tractors as well. So that could be one of the reasons why in the run-up to election, you normally see that, tractor sales are pretty good. So let's get that graphic plate up for you. In 2014, we had very, very good growth. But in the next couple of years, we saw a bit of a degrowth. Similar is the case in 2019. In the following year, we saw a bit of a downtick. So last 2 elections as well, the following year hasn't been very, very great. Let's hope it doesn't happen this time around. But 2 risks. One is the statistical risk that we are putting with regard to the numbers in the last 2 elections. And the other one is the fear of El Nino, which could be on the economy, markets, as well as tractor sales.
Well, Nigel, it's an interesting piece that you've put out. I just want to ask Devina the same thing. There are concerns about El Nino. There are concerns about heat wave as well. You've seen some bit of traction in the white goods stocks, Devina. The likes of Voltas doing good despite weak numbers. This week we saw a big move in Whirlpool as well. Any thoughts on the white goods space? Anything that you like and you've been a buyer there?
We might hold 1 or 2 stocks, but that's not been an area. Of course, it's a relatively small sector also, so it's not something we focused on a lot. And this weather bit, one will need to think about. Of course, it's hard enough being an expert in the. You are supposed to be an expert in, and to try to be an expert in weather or something is another dimension altogether.
Especially at a time like this, right? Devina, I don't know what's happening in Dubai, but in Bombay, at least every other month is a weather change, right? You don't even know what season it is anymore. But, jokes apart, anything else that you like in this market? I know it's very difficult to find alpha now with this market all over the place, so much volatility. But any spaces, any pockets that interest you now?
Right. So, of course, ours is a very diversified portfolio. So we do manage to create some alpha. I was looking at our small case, for instance. I think roughly about maybe 15, 16 months, market is down 4-5%. We are up to 3%. So not, obviously not up 20%, but still that's a reasonable alpha. Right now, in our last rebalance, one sector we've added a bit back on is IT services. So we had, with various changes over the quarters, we have become underweight. Now we've gone slightly overweight. We might go even a little more overweight there. And that's a sector that, of course, has been performing also of late. So that has been providing some of the cushion from where the banks have gone down. So that is one. Another, we added a couple of pharma names also. Capital goods, industrial machinery, I've spoken about earlier on your channel also. That is something almost a year and a half ago we went overweight. And while we have booked some profits since, we would still remain overweight, especially relative. The index, it's not such a big weight. So we still continue to hold many of those stocks. Though, as I said, we booked profits as well because some of them have doubled and tripled as well.
All right. Hi, Devina. In this sort of a market, what to buy is important, but often what not to buy is important. So what's something that you all are completely avoiding in terms of a sector? Maybe it's the new age theme. There were some hopes out there. They ran up a little bit. But some of them have come down as well from the top. So what are you all avoiding in this sort of a market?
Yeah, so the so-called quote-unquote new age stocks we haven't yet kind of dabbled in. Yes, they have been going up and down, but we are still watching that. So that oil, energy-related stocks where we had something earlier, I think those we would be underweight now. So odd sectors like that. But mostly, I mean, we of course look at bottom up. So, for instance, we might be a little overweight still chemicals and textiles, but that's not a sector call, it's more a stock call. Uh, and that's the way we've done it. FMCG also, for instance, we started with our FMCG kind of dipping our toes in with ITC last year, roughly, I think exactly about a year ago or so, maybe
Yes.
11 months or so.
All right.
Right.
Sure. All right, Devina, we appreciate your thoughts. Thanks a lot for joining us on Editors Roundtable. And with that, it is a wrap. But folks, what's the weekend plan?
I was actually waiting for this question. I just went up with
But do you
what's the
have a
weekend
plan?
plans. I actually don't have any plans. Sorry.
Then why were you waiting for the question?
No, I was waiting for a question because you keep asking every Friday, and I keep answering that. No, sorry, I don't have any plans. But Nigel, any support to UB, USL?
No.
Which
I've entered the period where there's no support, 1.5 months. Or
then I think
maybe a
stocks
trek
are going
or
to struggle
something.
then, I believe.
Anuj has the most exciting weekend plans these days, right?
No, I think I'm planning to watch this web series. I've heard some good reviews about it. It's Fuzzy.
I watched it, by the way. It's
I watched it,
amazing.
I watched it.
Absolutely.
So I think because there's no match, there's no movie, so I think I'll go with that.
And people talk a lot about Shahid Kapoor. I think that Vijay Sethupathi,
Yeah.
he's amazing in this series, and I think you should totally watch that. All right, guys, have a great weekend. You know what to do with your time if you don't have any plans. And we will be back bright and early on Monday. Thanks for joining in.